I don't think it's only religious sentiments. I think that's part of it, but it's very clear that our society today, and speaking broadly of Western industrial society, including of course countries that aren't in the West like Japan, but that are basically attached to a very similar model, values highly a particular kind of consciousness. Our society values alert, problem-solving consciousness, and it devalues all other states of consciousness. Today, if you want to insult somebody, you call them a dreamer. In ancient times, dreaming was considered to be a very positive state of consciousness from which we might learn something of great value. Any kind of consciousness that is not related to the production or consumption of material goods is stigmatized in our society today. Of course, we accept drunkenness. We allow people some brief respite from the material grind. They may annihilate their consciousness for a few hours with large quantities of alcohol, and that's perfectly allowed because it doesn't really challenge the basic model that the only good consciousness is alert problem-solving consciousness. It's almost seen as a kind of temporary relief from that so that we can come back and be even more alert and problem-oriented afterwards. So a society that subscribes to that model is a society that is going to condemn states of consciousness that have nothing to do with the alert problem-solving mentality, but have to do with the exploration, dare I say it, of non-physical realms. Once we admit the notion of non-physical realms, then our commitment to the physical world and to physical reality starts to be undermined slightly. And it's easy to see why people in powerful positions in our society would not wish that to happen and would feel threatened by it. And if you go back to the 1960s, when there was a tremendous upsurge of exploration of psychedelics, I would say that the huge backlash that followed that had to do with a fear on the part of the powers that be, that if enough people went into those realms and those experiences, the very fabric of the society we have today would be picked apart, and most importantly, those in power at the top would not be in power at the top anymore. And I personally think that's what the so-called war on drugs is all about. It's all about maintaining the status quo, the hierarchy, the power structures of the society that we have today. And I actually do think that if a much greater number of people had intense experiences in altered states of consciousness, that it would definitely change our society, and it would unpick the power structures in our society. So in a sense, those in positions of power are right about that. Their power base would be threatened. But in terms of the long story of human evolution, this could be the best possible thing. If you look at the disastrous, horrendous state that the world is in today, based entirely on this deification of the alert, problem-solving state of consciousness, maybe it's time we had a change, and maybe we need powerful plant allies in order to make that change. Maybe we don't have the resources just within ourselves in order to do that. Now, of course, the accepted, established religions also have an investment in denying people access to altered states of consciousness. Because the moment that you have direct contact with spirit realms, if that's what they are, that's the moment you don't need the priest anymore. You don't need the church. You don't need that whole structure, because you can explore those experiences for yourself. Now, to my mind, nothing could be more liberating than exploring those experiences for yourself. We do not need the church. We do not need the structure that has been built up over the last 2,000 years. The time has come to change that. But I can understand why those who have a vested interest in those power structures feel very threatened by altered states. So you wouldn't just have to change the religious framework. You'd have to change the whole ethic of society before such experiences were encouraged and nurtured and valued by society. But it's a circular process, because the more people who have those experiences, the more society will change.